As you are continuing to deal with the COVID-19 crisis, both personally and professionally, Richard and I wanted to make sure you are getting information about what your colleagues in the field are experiencing and what questions they have in this time of crisis. In today's podcast, we will share some inspiring stories of what MGOs are hearing from their donors and begin to answer your questions about how to fundraise in this new reality of ours.
Welcome to the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group, featuring Richard Perry and Jeff Schreifels. Twice a month, we bring you the latest and best thinking about major gift fundraising, so you can develop authentic relationships with your major donors. Here are your hosts, Richard and Jeff.
Hi there, and welcome to the podcast today. Richard Perry is with me as always. And Richard, gosh, it's been quite a year in the last week, hasn't it?
I mean, it really does. I mean, it does really feel like we've lived a whole year in the last week. I mean, hasn't it?
Oh my!
It's not been easy, and I know for me personally. I mean, I've been struggling with all the same kind of things everybody else is. But the one thing that's been so encouraging, is all the incredible stories that we're getting from our Veritas client service leaders, and they've been telling us how their major gift officers are connecting with donors. I mean, they are amazing stories.
I know. I mean, I've been blown away. And I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised, but I have been. Here are folks who, MGOs out there, and we have like 60 clients. So there's like 200 MGOs that we're working with on an everyday basis.
Right.
And so Richard and I are getting these stories from the client service, client experience leaders who are working with these MGOs saying, guys, you're not going to believe how the donors are responding to these MGOs. It's just overwhelming. They are so appreciative of getting these calls, and they're giving. And, you know, this was after board people and the CEO said, I don't know if we should talk to our donors right now. They need a break. And they're not. They're going out there and talking to them. So, Richard, why don't you?
One story that was impressive to me was the gentleman that has been giving $15,000 a year.
Yeah,
was so concerned about his nonprofit that he pulled $135,000 out of his IRA.
Wow!
In order to support the organization. I mean, that's an incredible step that a donor takes. I mean, it's amazing.
I know we're hearing that over and over again. A lot of donors first are just appreciative that they're getting calls and someone's checking in on them.
Exactly.
And, you know, we hear stories like, you're the only one that's ever called me yet. And I'm so appreciative that you called because no one else has.
Well, like the 94-year-old donor that gives what was it, $10,000 a year?
Yeah.
Said to the major gift officer, I so appreciate your call because it was just a call to check in, not an ask or anything like that.
Right.
And it was like, no one is. You're the first people that have ever called me.
That's unbelievable, isn't it? But it's so great to hear that. And
the donors giving, I mean, it just affirms our belief that during tough times, donors really step up.
They do. And another thing that was interesting, a lot of clients of ours have said, we're in a qualification stage with a lot of these donors, meaning we're trying to figure out, do they actually want a relationship and be in a portfolio? And they're asking, should we still try to qualify donors right now? And we're saying yes. And we're getting these stories from MGOs who are saying, I qualified 10 people in a day because donors are at home. Right. And so they're answering the phone.
It is amazing. So, I mean, the whole point of all of our stories is that donors are engaged.
Yeah.
Donors are wanting to support the organizations that they love. And donors will say to you, the major gift officer or the frontline fundraiser, whether they can support you or not. I mean, the other story was the donor who said, I can't give right now.
Yeah.
And he teared up and said, but boy, I really appreciate it. Let's get past this chaos that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And I'll be back on board. So they're having the freedom to say no as well, which is what we basically are saying. Let the donor decide this stuff.
It's exactly.
Be asking, be bold, be confident, but let them decide.
Exactly. Let the donor decide. Put it out there for them and they can make that decision. Don't make it for them. And don't make up a story in your head that, oh, we shouldn't talk to donors at this time because they're all just worried about their own self. They're all sitting at home like we are.
Exactly.
So they want to hear from you. So,
well, and even during tough times, and here's the other thing, because someone said this to us, well, but what about the donor that's lost his or her job?
Yeah.
They're not going to want to support. Well, actually, it's very interesting. People when they themselves are facing hard times are always thinking about others that are worse off than they are. And they really enjoy and want to help and support those people.
That reminds me of a story that we got yesterday, who one of the MGOs, one of their donors, because of the stock market going way down, has lost over something in the 9 figures. So we're talking like over $10 million.
Yeah, I remember this story.
Maybe even more than that. I mean, 9 figures.
Well, it was over 10 million.
Yeah, it was over $10 million. And they're talking, and the MGO was like, wow, I am so sorry to hear that. But the donor was like, but I still want to give you another $25,000 right now.
Yeah, on top of the 25 they already gave.
Yeah.
Yep. I know.
So you could go, well, people are losing all this money. We're not going to talk to them. No. Donors want to do something. They want to help.
Mm-hmm.
So those are a few stories, just in case any of you, if you're thinking, gosh, I don't know if we should talk to our donors. This is the inspiration to give you to get out there and to talk to donors and just see how they're doing at least. And you'll be surprised by how many want to say, hey, how can I help during this time?
Right.
So
boy, this week was amazing, that in the webinar that we had there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we had this webinar this week. Over 4,000 people registered for it. It was unprecedented for us. And what came out of that webinar were hundreds of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And we could only answer just a few of those.
Right.
And you and I were talking about this, like, well, let's address these questions in the blog. We've got the podcast. Let's do another podcast. We're in a time of crisis. Let's answer these questions because a lot of other folks are dealing with the same questions and they're asking the same stuff. So we said, well, let's do a podcast and just start answering some of the questions we're getting from that webinar. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through some questions and hopefully we'll answer the best we can, but hopefully we'll answer that for you. So the first question, Richard, I want to talk to you about is, here's one that came from a listener that says, I'm starting a major gift program and I don't have a history of communicating much with our donors. So is now a good time to reach out to donors by phone, or should I just stick to the mail?
It's a perfect time to reach out to them by phone and by email and by text and by whatever method that they enjoy communicating with. Now is a perfect time to do it. Why? Because first of all, most of those folks are at home and they have the time and they're in a state of mind where they would enjoy talking with you. Now, I have to qualify enjoy talking with you with one statement.
Yeah.
They would enjoy talking with you unless your whole motive and the only reason you want to talk to them is to reach into their wallet and purse and grab the money. Then they will not enjoy talking with you.
Yeah.
It's about building relationship and being present for them and being authentic, and then talking about the money. It's not just about getting the money.
If you're new and you're just starting to get to know these donors, and what we're hearing from MGOs out there is that donors are taking more time with them than they ever have before.
I know. So it's amazing.
This is the time, if at any time, to start finding out more information about your donors. What are their passion and interests? Why do they have them? What is the donor's story? Why are they so connected to your mission? Now is the time to ask those questions because, I mean, they have the time right now to talk with you.
So in answer to the question, it's a perfect time to start a major gift program and a perfect time to talk to donors.
Exactly. All right, here's a question. I'm worried that giving will go way down because we're a cultural institution. So they're not directly helping with the COVID-19 crisis. Should I be reaching out to donors who are giving directly or who might be giving directly to COVID-19 causes? So basically they're saying, hey, am I taking away from the cause if I reach out to my donors?
They could be saying that, or they could also be saying these donors are distracted by the COVID-19 effort. So what's the point of reaching out to them? But in either case, what we would say is don't get off on those tangents.
Yeah.
Don't get off on COVID-19. Instead, stay on the point of what societal benefit your organization has.
Yep.
And focus on that. I mean, I live here in Asheville, North Carolina, and there's a number of nonprofits that I talk to and that I help with and so on. And many of them are cultural organizations. And when you talk to the donors of those organizations, they are extremely concerned about the welfare of that organization. Now, it's true they're concerned about the COVID thing as well. And so they're helping in the community to deal with that. But that doesn't stop them from being concerned with the thing they love. That's the big point.
That is the big point, isn't it? Is that they still love your mission. Don't assume that they'll stop giving to you just because you're not directly involved with the immediate help from COVID-19. And
we tell folks to basically look, now's the time to really zero down on and get very familiar with, if you're not already, with what is it you do and how does it benefit society? Yeah. Like Jeff, oftentimes we talk to folks and we say, oh, so you're an arts organization, you're an opera, you're a community choir.
Right.
How do you benefit the society, your society and your community?
Yeah.
Well, and they actually haven't thought about it.
That's right.
This is important. You've got to think about that because that actually is the quid pro quo here. I mean, this is what actually is the value added proposition here. And you've got to know that because that's what actually the donor is paying for, or what they're buying in quotes with their donation.
And I think on top of that, and this is something that Nick Ellinger said in our webinar earlier, he said, you have to know your own COVID-19 story within your own story. So, for example, I know I've read a big story on a lot of these opera singers who are in a world of hurt right now because they're all on contract basis, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're out, and that's their livelihood, and they're working like at the Indianapolis Opera, the New York City Opera, and now they're out of jobs, and they're worried about, are they still going to pay me? And so let's say you're an opera company. That's a real reality that donors are going to be concerned about as well. So that could be part of your story right now. If you're a cultural institution, people aren't going to your doors, but maybe you still have a virtual tour of your museum or whatever. Find out what it is how you're responding to this and let donors know about it. All right, here's another question. How do I convince my manager and the leadership of our organization that our donors want to hear from us and that we should ask for their support? We get a lot of this so far.
Yeah, it seems to me, I guess maybe a little comment first. It's just strange to me that leadership would feel that way, but the donors don't want to talk to us. I mean, I don't understand that. I think one thing you would do is maybe share this podcast and share other information that you've heard from from us and others about donors wanting to be involved and caring about their organization. I mean, the fact is, it is a fact that donors are giving to you, and they've chosen you versus the other 1.8 million nonprofits in the United States, or if you're listening to this overseas, whatever that number is in your country. They've chosen you. Right. Why? Because they love what you do and they think it's important. So they do want to hear from you and they do want to be involved. And it's back to that, let the donor decide on the asking bit.
Right. I mean, remember, Richard, when we put out that video a couple weeks ago, right now, where this is how we would respond. We had a ton of major gift officers write us and say they sent that to their CEO and executive director to say, don't stop development. Don't stop talking to donors. And they said it made a difference. So just so you know, we have a ton of resources on our website just around the COVID-19 crisis. So you might want to go onto our website at veritasgroup.com and check out those resources and pass them over to your executive director or CEO and board. Because the one thing that we are hearing is that boards they just don't know a lot about fundraising are putting pressure to cut fundraising. And
I just don't understand that. Like if I was in that board meeting, I would say to a board member, okay, sir or madam, in your commercial organization, would you cut your sales function?
Right.
Really? Would you reduce the influx of new business attempts and managing new business? No, you wouldn't. So why would you do that over on the nonprofit side?
Exactly. Okay. Now, this is a question that a lot of people have asked.
That's a big one.
We had to cancel our biggest event of the year that was going to be held in April. What do you do? What do you suggest we do instead?
Well, we've had a number of examples like this. One event that was valued at $2.5 million gross.
Yeah.
Another event that's valued at $700,000 gross. These are big numbers. And we're basically saying, look, figure out who is going to come to that event.
Yeah.
Look at their donor history. What did they do last year at the event? And go talk to them about doing it again this year without the event.
Exactly.
I mean, that's it. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And it'll work because the donors actually understand. So like they were going to buy a table for, $40,000, $50,000. You can still buy a table without buying a table.
Right.
And because it's about the cause. And then you're back to the cause again.
That's right.
And why it's important.
Yeah. When you help that one organization kind of think about it that way, they're like, oh, I think we could actually make this work. We actually have a plan for every one of these donors. We know what they were expected to give or what they gave last year. Let's go back and ask them personally for it.
And the interesting thing is you don't have the expense of the event. So the number is now not the big number, the gross number. It's actually the net number, which is a lower number because you don't have those expenses. So that might be an easier goal to attain by doing it the way Jeff and I are suggesting.
This brings up another question sort of related to it, but it's something that, Richard, you've experienced already in the last couple of days, talking to executive directors and CEOs. And that is everyone's nervous about what is going to happen, how much revenue they may lose over this time, or that they're forfeiting for some reason. And so they're all stymied. They don't know what to do. And you've been able to sit down with these executive directors and say, look, let's figure out what is the number that you're worried about? And you work on that number. And maybe you can describe the process of looking at the entire budget and then figuring out, well, what do you have to do? What's the net that you really have to get? So why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because a lot of people are worried about this.
Well, it's always important to quantify what the problem is. And I find, and I think we're both finding, Jeff, and so are our colleagues, that people don't do that. Now, I don't know why they don't.
Yeah.
But I liken it to a personal situation where, let's say you're earning $50,000 a year. That's your annual salary.
Right.
And now you have certain expenses against that salary. And now someone has told you, okay, Jeff, we're going to reduce that salary down to $35,000. Now you're missing $15,000.
Right.
You're going to focus on the 15 and figure out, well, what am I going to do about that?
Right.
That's essentially what needs to happen in the organization, where you're saying, well, our revenue forecast between now and, say, September, October,
yeah,
is this. Worst case scenario, we think it's going to be that. So we're going to miss $350,000.
Yeah.
Or $3.5 million or whatever. And then how are we going to deal with it? I mean, that's the essence of it, because then you can focus down in on that particular problem.
Yes.
And it's easier to communicate that with a group of major donors. I mean, we're having some donors
corporations,
yeah, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So quantify it and then develop a plan to deal with it, what the shortfall might be, and make it the worst case.
It really is that simple.
It is.
But it also is amazing to us how leaders are not actually doing that. And so they feel like they're stuck. They don't know what to do. They're all nervous. They're just, as they go down a dark hole. And we're saying, no, you can quantify this. And then once you do, let's figure out how to get it. It's possible. Yeah. And you might not have to cut anything. It's a matter of going out and presenting that need to your donors who, because they love you, will want to help you during that period.
Well, I think the only thing that's going to change is the revenue acquisition plan, because it's not about cutting a whole bunch of stuff. Now, it probably would be smart. Back to my example of the salary. So if you've now just been told you're going from $50,000 a year to $35,000, you obviously are going to take some steps to not spend some money. So you're going to watch the expense side.
Right.
But you might also look at other ways to develop revenue.
You definitely will.
Part-time work or whatever. I don't know. But it's about that simple. And we really recommend that you do that and you quantify it, not only for yourself, but also for the donors.
Yeah. All right. Here's another question. This will be kind of falling in line with what we kind of just talked about. But what suggestions do you have for us? This is an MGO asking this, for us that manage corporations and foundations during this time.
I'd manage it the exact same way we manage any donor list.
Exactly.
That's about that simple as well. You might be hearing a lot of noise about, well, we're not doing this, or the corporation, laid off these people, or I would just ignore all of that and keep going down your plan of donor stewardship, donor solicitation, and actually maybe even turn up the volume on that.
Yeah.
I'm aware of one story where a nonprofit basically thought to themselves, now, you know what, we have got to figure, and so they went out to a completely new source too, and actually secured $500,000.
Yeah.
Now, we don't suggest you do a bunch of prospecting like that. I think they had that sort of in that whole relationship going on before all this happened.
Right.
But yeah, manage your corporations and foundations the same way you manage your caseload and your donor lists.
Just yesterday, I was talking to someone who is from a very large nonprofit that we work with. And she said, they have some big corporate partners. And one of them was a major airline that came to them and said, we just feel awful, but we're going to have to suspend our gift that we promised this year until we figure out what's going to happen over the next few months. And it was in the millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And what was beautiful about the response from the nonprofit was, we understand. And this person from this large corporation on the phone broke down crying.
Wow.
And it's like, we just feel so bad that we can't do this right now. And It's just a reminder that even if you're working with corporations and foundations, you're actually dealing with people that care. These people care too. And so, you're going to continue to treat them like you would any donor. You're going to continue to steward them. You're going to continue to connect with them, even if they can't give. That's one of the first things we said. Like, there might be some donors that say they can't give, whether they're individuals, corporations, foundations, whatever. That doesn't mean you stop caring about them and servicing and stewarding them. So, because I know that once we get through all of this, because of the work this organization is doing, is staying by that donor, they're going to be doing even more in the future.
Exactly. No, that's a great response.
Yeah. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. This is a lot of folks are dealing with this, of course, and I'm new to working at home and having to deal with my kids and all the emotional turmoil going on. How do I prioritize my work from home?
Well, I mean, we've said this before. You got to take care of yourself and your family.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, it's going to be kind of a worthless thing that comes out the pipe for the nonprofit. And I think that it's really interesting on this point. It's I mean, most of the people we talk to are so responsible.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I've got to just put my time in. Well, yeah, of course you do. But you're not in the office, and you don't have that support system at home like you do when you're in the office. Mm-hmm. Now you have distractions, kids. You might have an elderly parent living with you.
Yeah.
Or who knows what your living situation is, but you've got these other things.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to feel guilty about the fact that you've got to take care of those things.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that's the first thing, is the self-care involved.
Yep.
In being realistic about and feeling okay about just taking care of yourself. So you were going to start the day at 8:15 or 8:30 or 8 or whatever, but then some crisis came up and you couldn't start till 9:10.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I know. I mean, I'm feeling it today. So I have a 9-year-old stepdaughter, and from, my wife has an important call. She's an executive director of a nonprofit, and she's got this big call with a foundation. And look, I could be stowed away in my office, but I can't. I have to be with her.
Stop. Yep.
So from like 11 to 1, I'm on duty. And,
Yep.
Before she was in school, I could just work right, through the day, and I can't do that. And it's difficult, but you've got to do that work first.
And not feel guilty about it. I mean, I think that's the one big point. And then all the rest of it is basically doing what's important in terms of revenue generation.
Yeah.
I would say revenue generation would be the first priority. And a sub point on that is donor stewardship, which sounds like it's not revenue generation, but it really is, because you're talking to the donor, but you're not necessarily asking,
right?
You're feeding them information and so on. I think donor stewardship and donor solicitation, done in a very careful way, is the priority thing, followed by data management, cleaning up your database, getting things organized like that, and your contact reports and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All good stuff. Well, we're going to have to end it here for today, but, and I'm sure we'll be addressing more questions. We've got many more to get to. I want to make you aware that we have a COVID-19 resource page that we've put together at Veritas. And you can find it by going to our website at veritasgroup.com. And you'll see immediately this red bar, and it directs you. Just click on the red bar on our website, and it directs you to that page. And then I want to point out two other things within that page. There are two resources. We have two new courses that we put together just around this crisis. Mm-hmm. One for managers and executives, and one for MGOs. And Richard, you've been working crazily over the last couple of days, putting these courses together on how to lead during a crisis and then how to connect with donors in a crisis. And we're doing something different. Mm-hmm. So this is a 4-week course, 8 hours starting in April 1. All the way to
you get you get 8 CFRE credits as well.
That's right. 8 CFRE credits.
Very comprehensive.
It's going to be a great course. And typically for a course this length and this amount of time, we would charge about $497 is what we typically would do. Mm-hmm. And so we were going to go out and just, $497. We were just like, you know what? At this time, at this crisis, it's just, we want everyone to take this course that wants to take it. So we're saying, pay what you can. And so go to the website and you'll click on, you'll just say, what do you think you want to pay for that? And you're in. Even if it was just $1, you can take this course, because we want as many of you to take this course as possible, because we know it's going to help you during this crisis. And we want to be there and alongside of you to help guide you through it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good material. So to take advantage of that, and again, that pay as you can thing is an authentic, a genuine act on our part to be supportive of the nonprofit community, its leaders, and its frontline fundraisers.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing it. So take advantage of it.
The other cool thing about those courses is that it includes every week an hour-long live call-in, so that your colleagues around the country who are dealing with all the same issues you are can talk to one another about best practices that they're doing, new ideas, new strategies that they're doing with donors, so that you can be inspired and get some good information about what you can do with your donors. So please take advantage of that. And well, Richard, we're at the end of our time. So everyone, thank you for listening, and we'll be talking with you very soon. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for the Nothing But Major Gifts podcast from Veritas Group. Richard and Jeff also write an ongoing blog that you can subscribe to for free at veritasgroup.com. Please join us again next time.